y'all. Hey, so I'm coming to y'all with a message per usual. So today's video is actually going to be about a conversation that I had with my man, 100 grand, my little bro Kai. I am Say Kylan. I tagged him before. He's dope as I don't know what. Follow him, thank me later. But we had a conversation the other day about parenting, right? And I was just saying that if I ever had to choose the journey and the level of warfare that I was under for the last year as it relates to my children, I would choose it every time. Because one thing about me is for sure, two things for certain, is because any role that I've ever occupied in life, the most valuable and pertinent role to me and the most loving, most sacrificial role to me is my role as a mother. When you think about your parenting skills and you think about how you were parented as a child, I was something called parentified. Now, what parentification looks like is sometimes when you have to care for a sibling in a way that makes you a parent much sooner than you ever conceived a child. And so you just have to show up for them for one reason or the other. There could be different circumstances that would cause you to have to fill those shoes. And I was parentified as a child where I had to care for my sibling. And to the point where I performed as a mother to my sibling, right? And the thing that I can honestly say is God used that situation, which the enemy uses for harm, God meant it for good. And he will always turn something that seems like an unfortunate circumstance into a win. And so with me being parentified, when I first had my daughter, I really wanted a son. That's just me being completely honest with y'all. We're being transparent, and I'm letting y'all my business just a little bit today. And I wanted a son more than anything in this life, but God always gives us what we need in certain moments of our brokenness and our healing journey, right? And at the time that I conceived my daughter, I was only 25 years old. I have taken care and raised my daughter by myself for at least 12 plus years, the years she has on this earth, right? And one thing that I love most about my daughter is my daughter introduced me to a version of myself that I never knew I needed to become, right? I started using unhealthy ways of parenting her from my own childhood and projecting those ways onto my child. And I realized that I didn't get told you shouldn't do this because it was just you better not do this and that's it. And so I became a very rebellious tween, and when I got into my 20s, once I went to college, because I felt like I was powerful and I had power I never knew that I could possess, right? But here's the thing that we have to keep in mind as parents, especially parents of this new generation. When you try to parent your children a way that you once were parented, it's not going to be a beneficial thing for them because they're living in a different time, different societal rules and norms, and just different vibes altogether. And so I had to lean into a version of myself that I never knew and thought that I could ever become, which was a very significant place of healing. And when I decided to go on a healing journey, I decided that I would do something different than what I've seen. I decided to be friendly to my daughter, but still establishing a boundary between mother and friend. And I also decided to be more open-minded to understand the things that might not be pleasing to my natural ear, but that I had to level set with her because I was once my daughter's age. My daughter literally can tell me anything in the world. I would never judge her. If anything she did that I didn't agree with, I would simply pray for her. And this message was placed in my heart to post right now in this hour, in this moment, because there are many women in my millennial generation raising young girls that are teenagers. And one thing that I can honestly share with you all, listen. And listening and hearing are two different things. Actively listen to what your daughter is telling you. If she's coming to you because she's feeling overwhelmed with emotion, if she's coming to you to get your opinion or your advice, if she's coming to you because something is grieving her spirit, don't operate from the space that maybe some of the baby boomer parents that raised us operated from, which was complete judgment and criticizing. Listen, actively listen, level set, and remember your journey when you were their age. Come up with a meaningful dialogue to be able to have a conversation, not talking at them, but talking to and with them. Pray about it if you don't necessarily have the words. There are some things that my daughter tells me that I'm taken aback from, where I'll be like, whoop, Lord, I need your help. And you know what I do? I'll pause, I'll pray about it and release it to God. And when God gives me the wisdom and direction and grace to revisit said conversation, or even just to give advice, I do so from a healthy and healed place. It is something so integral to your daughter's lives that are coming up in this new generation, where you need to make sure you're healed, or from a more healed standpoint, because we're always healing, especially when we face trauma most of our lives, especially when you have a narcissistic parent. In my case, narcissistic mother. you have to understand that you need to be able to ask God to heal you inside out, so that when you show up for your daughter, you will give them something that you never had. The most valuable asset of my being is the type of mother that God has created me to be, because I can look in the mirror and smile at myself, knowing that even though I have faced warfare, I have had to face liars, I have had to face people plotting and planning against me to take my daughter away from me, I have had to deal with people trying to criticize me. Heavy is the head that wears a crown. To much is given, much is required. Whenever God places a purpose over your life, you have to understand that there's warfare associated with it. So even though my daughter might not physically be with me right now, in spirit, my spirit moves through her, and our relationship is like this. And it doesn't matter who tries to intercept or try to come in between our relationship. My daughter knows that her mother doesn't play about her, and that's the one and never the two. And that is because I let God break me down to build me back up, so that I can be the very best version of myself, to be able to parent her in a way that will help her be a child that grows into a young woman that does not need to heal from trauma, and that she can be the best mother to her daughter without the healing process. My loves, understand that this was a message that God placed in my spirit, and it's transparent right now. I don't know who it was for, but I hope it helps. I'll talk to you guys in the next one.